All right, welcome everyone, and thank you, Haley, for the prayer. Appreciate all of you guys being online. I'm just kind of scrolling down and seeing who we have. So really good group. So this week we start our reading in the textbook, Inner Victory. And as you do your reading, you will notice that Brother Christensen talked about the fact that this class and your personal creed document can be a benefit as you go through life's transitions. So just a quick question. You guys can unmute your mic and talk, or you can put it in chat. I would like to ask you, what are some of the transitions that you are going through? Oops, went one ahead. What are some of the transitions that you are going through right now? There should be lots. Any ideas? Transitions. Go ahead and unmute your mic and I'll listen. Okay, different apartments. Thank you. Going back to school after 9 years in the Army. Cody, good job. High school to college. Thank you, Addison. New classes for the semester. Becoming ready to go to the temple for endowments. Thank you, Whitney. Emily just got married. Congratulations. I'm just reading these through. High school to college, transferring to a different school. Another recently married. Thank you, Derek. High school to college. Emma, adjusting to new roommates. Okay, that's a lot. Anybody just home off a mission? Okay, Parker, thank you. Okay, from Taiwan, excellent. Okay, so Eric has a job change after an injury. All right, so you guys have covered a lot. New to college, new roommates, newly married, just home off a mission. So here's the second question. And by the way, I'd love it if any of you want to, rather than typing chat, to talk to all of us. It was great to hear Haley's voice in the prayer. I'd like to have a little more of that, but I understand if you don't want to. So what are some of the emotions that you are experiencing in the midst of these transitions? What are some of the feelings that you're having? Anybody? Stress and doubt?
I think for me, a big emotion, because I came home from my mission in April, and so that was like a big thing for me, like in the moment. And I'm like, I've adjusted a lot more now, but I think I was a lot of like just uncertainty, just a little bit of like, what do I do now?
Yeah. So uncertainty. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Haley. Excellent. So some words we're seeing on the chat: stress, doubt, excitement, anxiety, and uncertainty. Stress and uncertainty. Okay. So keep those coming. So I'm obviously quite a bit older than most of you. Every once in a while we'll have a student taking this class that's my age, but not very
I'm close to it.
Okay. How old? Share with me.
53.
Okay. I've got you by 6 years, but that's good. Us 50 years, folks. Was that Eric?
Yes.
Okay. So Eric and I can teach you guys something about transition. So Eric's like me probably. But we've had some transitions in our life. And I'll just share with you that it was interesting for me, and you guys can comment on this if you'd like. What I felt like the first couple of days, few days in the MTC, felt a lot like my first month in the Philippines as a missionary, which felt a lot like my first month home and my first month at college here, my first month and 2 months of being married, my first little bit being a new dad, my first little bit in new jobs. We adopted a son, adopting a son and having a new, he's African-American, having him in our home. The feelings were sometimes uncomfortable, sometimes stressful, unsettling because things are new. Well, the question is, and we're going to be embarking now, all of us, on your personal creed document. We're not going to start that for a few days, a couple weeks actually. But how can this personal creed document help you get through all of the transitions you're going to have? And there's going to be lots. And some of them are going to be little, some are going to be big. So we're going to talk about that here in a second. But I want to just mention to you, the book is Inner Victory that you're going to have, and it is a really great book. In my mind, it's a keeper. So whether you're renting it, buying it new, have it on ebook, for me, it's one that should have a permanent spot on your bookshelf. But I'm going to share with you some other books, and I'm not asking you to go out and buy all of these books. But these are books that I'm going to reference at different times through the class. And it's because I care about this topic of personal achievement and being able to manage life as you go through all of these things that we're going to go through. So for example, in a couple of weeks, we're going to talk about our beliefs and how they affect our lives. I'm going to talk a little bit about psychocybernetics. I'm going to talk about managing anxiety a couple times in the class because it's a big deal. Most of us at some time are going to have some anxiety, especially as we go through transitions. We're going to talk about the 4 disciplines of execution. Now, again, I'm going to quote the greatest salesman in the world, like on my next slide. So the goal is not to go out and buy these books, but if you were interested in this topic, these would be good references for you. So you'll know when I quote them. If you ever wanted to add to your library, there's some ideas there. But this is what I think is central to this class. And we're going to hit this hard in your personal creed document. And that is, what are your values? What are the things that motivate you to be successful? So this is what I believe. Values plus a good routine equals really great habits. And if we have great habits consistently lived, we will be more successful. Og Mandino, in The Greatest Salesman in the World, said, in truth, the only difference between those who have failed and those who have succeeded lies in the difference of their habits. Good habits are the key to all success. Bad habits are the unlocked door of failure. Thus, the first law I will obey, which precedeth all others, is I will form good habits and become their slaves. So, as we get into this class, speaking of laws, you'll learn in this course that there are 3 parts to many of the chapters. And in most chapters, we're going to learn about laws. We're going to introduce the first law today. Now, here's the deal about laws. Laws are eternal principles. Think of the law of gravity. And you'll get this as you read Inner Victory. You cannot change the law of gravity. You can't change the law of the clock. You can't change different laws that we're going to talk about. The second part is our arts. Our arts are translated to our talents, our abilities, and our habits. And then the end, we have clues. Clues are the blessings of the fruits, right? So if you see somebody and you look at their personal appearance, or you look at their yard, for example, or if you look at something, those are evidences or clues to how they're living. Now, here's the eternal principle here. This is the eternal truth that we're going to talk about today. The only thing we have any control over is the middle. It's how we live according to the laws. The results of our good living or bad living is out of our control. The laws and principles are also out of our control. So the only thing we can manage in our life is how we manage the laws. So, any thoughts, any comments? I'd love to have any of you chime in on how you're feeling or what you think about this. If not, I'll proceed, but I want to give you guys chances to talk. And I will work diligently to keep track of the time because I'm committed always to keep these meetings fairly short. So, this is the first law. The first law is the law of the harvest. And the first art is the art of personal inspection. So again, remember, the only thing that we can have any control over is this art. And this is the question. what is growing in your garden? And we talked last week about the unexamined life is not worth living. If we take a little time and personally reflect about, the question is, how are we doing? And the question on the law of the harvest is this: what is growing in your garden? And as you read the textbook this time, you'll learn quickly from Brother Christensen, there are kind of rules to the law of the harvest. You reap what you sow. You can't speed grow things on the farm. If I want to have a good potato crop, and this is potato crunch country in Idaho if you're in Rexburg, you can't plant in August and harvest in October. You can't plow and fertilize in October or September and harvest in October. There's this time and a place. The other point from the textbook is we're always sowing. Even if you're not doing anything, I could say, I'm just going to take time off. I'm not going to work in the yard. I'm not going to work on my studies. I'm going to take a break. You're still sowing, and you're going to end up reaping some things from there. So as we build this creed document, we're going to be talking about what's growing in your garden. So the hope here is, as we work on this together, your personal creed document can be a valuable blueprint to help you navigate life, especially as you face these transitions. So let's quickly talk about why we had you watch The Fish Philosophy. Now, how many of you or any of you having a hard time getting it to open in Canvas? I've had like 4 emails from students saying it's not working. Anybody? I did post an announcement that has an alternate kind of a summary of it. Cody says it took a few tries. I don't know why it's glitchy. So if it's not working for you, so those of you watching the live meeting and those of you who end up watching the recording, if it's glitchy for you, just go to the announcement I posted yesterday, I think, and click on that link and you can watch a summary of it.
I had no problems with the summary of the link that you sent.
So that worked. Okay, perfect.
Well,
now, not to encourage you to do the summary, but if you opt to do the summary, it'll save you a little time because it's like 3 minutes. The fish video is like 15, so either way works. But the idea of, and we're going to work towards the end of the semester when you're actually going to write your mission statement, is the power of vision and purpose. So your personal creed document, the 7 parts, we're going to build up to part 7, which is your vision. So the reason we inserted the fish philosophy is it's a good example of a company, Pike's Place Fish Market. Anybody been there, Seattle? Pike's Place? Okay, thank you for raising your hand. Anybody else? Okay, Cody has. It's kind of fun to watch. So if you walk through the Pike's Place Market, there's the official Pike's Place Fish Market, and you'll notice that that market is right in the middle and it's super busy. And then if you walk down, you'll see other fish markets that aren't as busy. Well, part of the reason they're so successful is they have these 4 purposes. They want to play, have fun at work, right? And that doesn't translate, it translates differently. You want to make people's day who come in. You want to be there, which is be present. And you want to choose your attitude. So that's an example of a good kind of a vision and a purpose. So the next question is, I think it's my next slide. Let's see. Hang on, I'm going to cheat quickly. Oh, here's another one. This is from a different Brother Christensen. He's written his mission statement as this: a man dedicated to improving the lives of others, a kind, honest, forgiving, and selfless husband, father, and friend, a man who doesn't just believe in God, but who believes God. So here's a little bit of a quiz, just for fun. Who can tell me, you can type it in or you can open it up, what is the mission of the church? What is the mission of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? Some of you missionaries or missionaries, maybe tell me. Yeah. Tell me who's talking. Or maybe talking. Someone was trying, that's okay. Someone want to take a stab at that? Or in the chat even? Mission of the church. Someone help me out. Other people typing. It could be short or long. Brothers come unto Christ. Dylan, thank you. To bring all men unto the knowledge of God. Unite families forever. Thank you, Parker, with that. Perfection of the faith. You guys are nailing it, actually. The mission of the church. God is dying in these latter days. Anybody else? So I'm old enough. When I went on my mission in 1980, President Kimball was the prophet, and they came out with what they call the threefold mission of the church. Okay, Eric's nodding his head. That feels familiar. President Monson added a fourth. The threefold mission was to proclaim the gospel, redeem the saints, perfect the saints, and President Monson added the poor and the needy. Well, that's actually true, but those were like the subsets. I'm going to share this with you. This is the actual mission of the church, revised with the recent handbook. And you guys were on it when you in chat. The mission of the church, and I've underlined the main part, is to invite all to come unto Christ and be perfected in him. So I can promise you that and I'm not in church headquarters, obviously, but I can tell you that this is front and center whenever the brethren make decisions or other church leaders. Will this help people come into Christ and be perfected in him? And then they say at the end, and they quote a couple scriptures, that the invitation to come into Christ pertains to all who have lived, that's temple work, or will ever live on the earth. Who will ever live means now and future. That's perfecting the saints. So they've kind of collapsed the four into just this, okay? So we're going to kind of drive towards that as we work towards the end of the semester. So last quick little thought, and then we're going to kind of talk about this week and see if you have any questions. One of the things that I would like to have us all consider, and I'm reading a really good book right now. Some of you have read it, I'm sure. I'll add this one to my slide someday. How to Win Friends and Influence People is the name of the book. So this is the question. What motivates us to do anything? Okay. What motivates you to be in this class? What motivates you to do your homework? What motivates you to play the piano or learn a new skill? And what I'd like to tell you or share with you is that there are three motivations. I'll just put all of these up. Sometimes we do things because we have to. Sometimes we do things because we ought to, and sometimes we do things because we want to. Okay? So what is the motivation? Help me out here. What is the motivation for have to? I've done things today just because I had to. Any idea? What's the motivation for have to?
I think for each person, it may be a little more of a personal answer.
Thanks, Eric.
For me, I have to. I had an injury at work, and I'm not allowed to go back to the types of things that I've done to earn a living to this point in my life.
So you're
as a compensation, they offer.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm a welder fabricator, and I'm a expert in liquefied natural gas and working with it.
Okay.
And I had an injury to my foot. I got it smashed. I'm not allowed to go back. I can't stand on it for a long time. I walk around on uneven surfaces.
Mm-hmm.
I was up in North Dakota when that happened, and now I've reached a point where I have to retrain. And fortunately, through the Workman's Comp Plan out of North Dakota, they offered me 2 years of schooling that they would pay for, and I chose BYU Idaho.
Oh, excellent. So what's your major here, Eric?
Business. Just going to be a general business degree, maybe a little bit towards the business management side.
Excellent. Yeah, good. So you're doing a have to out of necessity, right? Okay, excellent.
And I also want to.
Yeah. So you've kind of crossed the bridge to want to.
Yeah.
Well, we want to get to want to as much as we can. Okay. Any other thoughts on have to or ought to or want to? Okay. Why is it? Well, let me just share with you my thoughts on that. And these aren't universal necessarily, but sometimes we do things have to because of fear, right? Sometimes we parent that way, right? Do this or else you won't get that. Sometimes we do things because we ought to out of guilt and duty. This is actually a big, in my opinion, how I live the gospel, right? Sometimes I'm going to go do my ministering because I don't want to report to my elders quorum president that I missed, right? We do it out of guilt or duty. And I'm not necessarily saying that's necessarily bad. But where we want to get to is we want to get to love. If we do things because we love it, we're going to enjoy it better and we're going to do a better job. And the love part, this kind of gets to having, so let me ask the question. Okay, this is a good one, right? How do we get to want to? Let's say there's something, Eric's at school and he's probably loved welding. Now he's going to learn to love business. What if you're what if you don't love school that much? Or maybe you're trying to love your major, right? Hopefully you're not trying to love your spouse. So how do you want to?
I detest school, by the way.
Okay.
But because I still have life to live, and out of the love that I have for life, I want to do this to better myself, and I know it's through education that will do it.
Uh-huh.
I don't do it out of guilty or I don't feel a duty. I could find some job that would pay me very little, not enough to live on kind of a wage,
Mm-hmm.
but I still feel like I have an awful lot that I can offer, even at my age.
Right.
In this, and I've had experience in managing business.
Okay, so Eric, I'm going to make I'm doing an observation here. Okay, I'm looking at your shirt. Okay, that says patriotism right there, right? There you go.
Very much so.
So, do you love your country?
Almost as much as I love my family and my God.
Yeah, exactly. So, what would you do for your country?
Whatever I was asked to do.
Yeah. So you're already there to want to, right?
Yeah. I have, just so you know, I have volunteered my time and served on a planning and zoning committee. So I try to do things to give back to the community.
Yeah. I serve on my town's city council, right? So I know what planning and zoning is a little bit. I'm new to it, right? So you can teach me, Eric, but planning and zoning is kind of hard work.
You don't have any friends yet, do you?
Well, not yet, but we'll see. I might have. All right, so we want to get to where we do things because we want to. And I'm going to end on this quote, one of my favorite quotes of all time from Steve Jobs. Before I get to that quote, though, I'm not going to ignore Derek and Megan. These are good quotes. Conscious effort to change perspective, praying for assistance, and patience with repetition. You just gave the last lesson I'm going to give this semester, Derek, so that's perfect. And for Megan, you learn to love something when you don't expect anything in return. That's great. It's selfless service when you really love. Now, Steve Jobs said, the only way to do great work is to love what you do. And he says, if you haven't found it yet, keep looking. As with all matters of the heart, I'm doing this backwards, don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. So, if you want to do great work, get into an area that you love, and you'll do better work. So let's talk about this week and next, and then I'll see if you have any questions. As always, on these meetings, I'll stay on for a few minutes. By the way, I want to congratulate this group. For those of you with me now and who will watch this recording, I've taught this class for 20 years. I've taught it online for 10. This is the first time, and I've got to go check the grade book, but we have 50 students in the class, and I have one assignment I think that has yet to be turned in. It might be turned in now, but all 50 of you, and this is only 1 week in, all 50 students did every assignment last week. That's never happened. So I would love to have somebody call me up at the end of the semester and say, Brother Davis, why did you give out 50 A's? And I'll say, well, first of all, it's not a hard class. I think it's a great class, but everybody did the work. And again, the only way you won't get an A in this class is if you do stuff late or don't hand stuff in. So congratulations to this group. It's the first time it's ever happened. It drives me crazy. Every semester out of 50 kids, there's going to be 3 that fail it. And it's just because they don't engage or don't try. So congratulations. And I've really seen great comments, great discussions. So this could be a banner semester for us. So thank you, Tanner, for the virtual high five, and Jordan for the smiley emoji. So congratulations. And Josh high five Tanner back. This is the beauty of online living. All right, so this week we only have 2 assignments. The fish philosophy video that you'll watch, and do your post by Wednesday and comment on 2 other people's posts. Super simple. 27 of you will be able to do the class meeting report and lesson evaluation today because you've already listened to this meeting. The rest of you will watch the recording. That's due on Saturday. Next week, we'll do time management, the law of the clock, and 2 opportunities. I'll introduce those next week. And then the week after that, we start Personal Creed Document Part 1. Okay. Questions, comments before we stop the recording? And again, I will stay on for as long as I need to if any of you just want to visit with me. And Haley, I'm going to ask you a quick question because I'm really good friends with Brother Nygren on campus. Are you related to him?
Yeah, he's my uncle.
All right, excellent. All right, one of my heroes.
He's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. And that's just, Nygren's not a very common name, so, just had to ask that question. So one of my good friends. Okay, any questions, comments before we stop the recording? And again, I'll stay on to talk with anybody who wants to ask more questions. All right, hearing and seeing none, thank you all. Let's see, one question out from Samuel. So Samuel, the 2 assignments this week, simply the threaded discussion and the class meeting report and a lesson evaluation. That's it. Okay, thank you all. And I'll stay on, but for the rest of you, good night.